Storm in the hands of the Storm Master here on the SCG Tour, and that is, of course, Caleb Scherer. So, we will be given the green light here in just a moment. And we will, of course, get our scoreboard updated for you guys as well, so you know the names and the archetypes. And we will zoom in to the match as well, as here is a Serum Visions.
I imagine that Caleb in recent months has been the beneficiary of an uptick in amulet strategies. I don't know if the matchup is necessarily excellent for Storm, but they really lack a lot of meaningful interaction. And Caleb has historically done very well for himself in matchups where they don't really have a lot of play against the hand or counter spells or ways to kill an enabler.
Here you see the hand for Thoughtseize. It's an Opt, a Goblin Electromancer, a Pyretic Ritual, a Brawl, Chief of Compliance, a Metamorphose, and a Flooded Strand.
It's a hard hand to pick a hole in, as it has card drawing and mana and reducers. This matchup for Harvey, I think, is probably fine. He's got a lot of the Death Shadow elements that are very good against Storm. The problem is that he's missing the fast clock that you associate. But he's got discard, counter spells, creature removal, the good blend of stuff you want against Storm.
All right. Desperate Ritual is the draw. Going to sacrifice that Flooded Strand. Update your arrows. You're on the top match, not the middle. Thank you. Time looks like for a Goblin Electromancer, putting Harvey to the test right away, basically saying you need to have a Fatal Push to kill this right now. Your deck doesn't play a ton of removal, and if you don't have that, I'm probably going to kill you.
Wondered here if Harvey is... All right, so he has Drown Lock. He does have an answer. I was wondering with Force of Negation if he was actually trying to induce Scherer to go off this coming turn, not necessarily anticipating that spell being part of the range game one.
Well, there's a copy of Drown the Lock. And now Stevens is going to enter the battlefield untapped. The big follow-up is a Metamorphose. Where are we going to go from here? Drew a copy of Brawl, Chief of Compliance. Okay, says I'm going to put you to the test again. You need to kill my cost reducer, and if you don't do that, I'm probably going to kill you. Going to start things off with a Arkham's Astrolabe. Harvey misses his land drop, and he may be out of this game right away.
Well, I don't know. I think he is sitting on Force of Negation here, and everything that Harvey has done leading up to this point gives the indication of someone who is kind of swimming upstream looking for interaction.
Okay.
If Caleb assumes the coast is clear, and if I was in his spot, I would.
It seems like it would be.
And your spot's not likely to get a whole lot better. We might see Scherer go for a big push this turn, in which case the Force of Negation here from Harvey might be a game ender.
Okay, well, let's see how it shakes out.
Really nice for Harvey last turn that his turn got to be Astrolabe, no land, go. That looks like someone who is saying to themselves, I need to find a Thoughtseize or Inquisition this turn to be able to interact, and missed. And if that is the case, Scherer has a really powerful incentive to try to win the game this turn, and Harvey's Force of Negation might line up the right way.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because you do kind of forget that Force of Negation is a card in this format. Sometimes it doesn't see a ton of play, but this is definitely a deck that can play it. Here's a Metamorphose. This is a Serum Visions. Now, partner, is there a Force Negation in that deck list?
I think I might have the Arc confused with Archmage's Charm.
I think that's
true. Yep. Yeah, on the left-hand side, there's that little hue of yellow, in which case, bad news for Harvey. But it looks like Scherer without the tools to go off this turn.
Yes, this is true.
Just mana.
Here's a Fatal Push on the upkeep. That'll take care of Brawl. So Harvey got out of that last turn alive, and the remand was the draw step, so now we keep going Harvey's way. He'll play a Mishra's Bauble. Looks like he's going to sacrifice the Bauble. Take a little look-ski-poo. Take a look at the top card. Play a Thopter Foundry. Shields are entirely down. Remand is going to put that back in Harvey's hand. Nice use of Remand there for that turn for Scherer as well. As Harvey will draw a card from the Bauble, Scherer draws from the man and then draws for the turn. Picked up a copy of Gifts Ungiven.
And if Scherer is using a remand there on kind of a non-essential piece, it is Harvey's entire turn, but the remand could be better down the line. I think Scherer has a notion here that he kind of needs to get the ball rolling here while Harvey is stalled on lands and is looking just to draw a piece to allow his hand to come together. Ideally, you'd like to save that remand for something more valuable like winning a counterspell battle or some such, but Scherer putting a premium on just trying to find a new card.
Oh, here's a Pyretic Ritual. Caleb's going to need his toys here. Blue mana, red mana, Storm Counter. We've seen him use these so many times over the years here on the SCG Tour. He is our resident Storm Counter, won that Invitational in Las Vegas a handful of years ago to become that. And now here's a Desperate Ritual. He's going to splice onto that Desperate Ritual. So up to 6 red, 2 spells. Now, it's time to get a Gifts Ungiven. 3 red floating, that's going to resolve. Caleb, pretty confident stance, at least for right now, on how things are going. Past in Flames, probably Manamorphose, and maybe 2 more Rituals will be the choice here for Caleb. Now, note he doesn't have a cost reducer in play, so it's not easy mode here for Caleb. No Brawl or no Electromancer on the battlefield. But he still might be able to get the job done. And there's your split. Past in Flames, Manamorphose, Desperate Ritual, and Pyretic Ritual. So now Harvey's got to figure out how to split this up. And is there a way for him to do that? Or he can still get another turn?
Well, I'm assuming you need to give... Manamorphose has to be one of the cards here because it's not really worth anything other than another look.
Now don't forget, you know that Caleb does have Desperate Ritual in hand.
Right.
Can't forget about that.
Goes up to 4.
Mm-hmm. Well, you go.
Yeah, I guess I suppose the risk of Manamorphose here is it gives Scherer the opportunity to launder into a reducer. But if Scherer had a reducer in hand, you would have seen it as this whole sequence was initiated.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you want to give Manamorphose Past in Flames.
I think that sounds right, because then the Desperate Ritual in hand, you go down to 1 mana up to 4.
Yep.
Right? Now, the other thing you can do here is if you give him Pyretic Ritual and Manamorphose, what happens?
Based on the information Harvey has, Scherer's hand is presently a dead end, and you only have to counter 1 Past in Flames the next turn.
Right? Because Past in Flames is in the graveyard, it costs 5. So here's Manamorphose. So Manamorphose has got to hit something real here.
Yeah.
From what I can see. So it's going to be a red and 2 blue. Spell 4. Draw a card. Land was drawn. Now that you have to ask the question, has he played a land yet for the turn? And I can't remember for sure.
Well, it's easy mode if he has. He just plays his land and goes.
And I don't think that he has. Obviously, Harvey's missed a lot of land drops, so I don't think that he has. Okay,
yeah.
So Breeding Pool enters the battlefield untapped. Let's see what this is going to be. Okay, so he's just going to go to empty.
All right, that explains. I was thinking here, Scherer setup is so bizarre that he's doing all of this, and I guess he needs to spike something. But if he had empty the Warrens as an out, then I think it's totally fine to just maybe your hand develops in such a way that you can win the game this turn. If not, 10 Goblins is likely to be good here.
I would be surprised if it wasn't. Yep, and Caleb is going to get it done with plenty of goblins as Gift Storm wins game number 1 here over Demir Wurza. Harvey never able to truly get off the ground in that particular game.
Not a huge fan of the concession there from Harvey. I would have liked to see one more turn because signals no copy of Engineered Explosive in his deck, which his deck could easily have a copy or 2.
Okay. That does make giving away a little.
Yeah. I mean, you could have it in your sideboard, whatever, but I don't think there's a huge reason not to play out one more turn. Keep up appearances.
Well, there it is. We'll take a look at the sideboards here for both players. We're going to start with Dominic Harvey. We got 3 Ashiar Dream Render, 2 Inquisition of Kozilek, 2 Ether Gust, 2 Mystical Dispute, and 6 1-ofs here in Thopter Foundry, Thoughtseize, Grafdigger's Cage, Sword of the Meek, Dampening Sphere, and Dead of Winter here for
Just
Tom.
a ton for Harvey to bring in here. A Dampening Sphere, Grafdigger's Cage, Thoughtseize, Mystical Dispute, Inquisition of Kozilek, and Ashiar Dream Render are all major upgrades. Really good sideboard here.
For Caleb, 4 Aria of Flame card we haven't seen for a while once again. Obviously a very, very big and important card during the Izzet Phoenix days, but not seeing it much nowadays except for in his Storm sideboard. 3 Lightning Bolts, 3 Veil of Summer. That's what the green splash is for. 2 Factor Fiction, 2 Dismember, and a copy of Shenanigans.
I really like the 2 copies of Factor Fiction, the Veil of Summers, and I think this is a good matchup for Aria of Flame. Not an easy thing for Harvey to get off the battlefield and can give Caleb the kind of some staying power in a game where either his spells can't resolve because of counterspells or he's being attacked by too much discard.
Well, folks, those are the options there for both players. Game number 2 will be underway here in just a moment. Patrick, you said we were going to talk about SCG Premium, and we're about to do it right now. Of course, we've got a lot of great content producers as part of the Premium family. Dominic Harvey, the newest member of the family, Patrick as well. But you see Sheldon Menery from left to right, Jerry Thompson, Emma Handy, Paulo Vitor, Dalma DeRosa, pardon me. They are all amazing and fantastic content producers here for Star City Games. But that's not all you get when you sign up for Premium.
You get a little rake back topical with this event being held at the casino for just $7.99. Not only do you get exclusive access to those columnists and many more, but you get exclusive benefits on the website as well, including 5% off sealed products, 10% off singles, and 15% off supplies. So join today at starcitygames.com/join-premium.
There it is. There it is. Dominic Harvey going to be on the play here for game number 2. Caleb Scherer always playing Storm. Can't be too surprised by that. And still appears to be a pretty good deck at the moment.
Definitely, I think it's a totally defensible choice. Like I said, I think the Amulet matchup, I don't know if it's necessarily good or bad, but at least plays in the Storm wheelhouse of I don't want to play against creature removal, no discard, no counter spells. So the deck is very fast, and that's something to be mindful of, but I think Storm's 50th percentile draw is probably better than Amulet's 50th percentile draw in the matchup. They have a Bajuka Bug and a Pact of Negation. It's not all the interaction in the world. A couple sideboard cards, but Caleb has been back doing business, having some good tournament finishes after a bit of a lull, and it would not have surprised me if that was in part because his modern weapon of choice has gotten better in the last couple months.
I think that I am inclined to agree. You see in the middle, Casey Lancaster playing Mono Red Aggro, up a game over Chad Harney playing Sultai Delirium. And then your bottom row, looks like Dylan Hand won game number 1 over Daniel D'Amato in the Team of Reclamation Mirror. Keep in mind, we're believing that X2 and better is going to make day number 2 of competition, unlike last weekend in Richmond. So that means that this is a win and in for these players. And Casey Lancaster is not messing around. Apparently he won his match already 2-0. Mono Red Aggro just blitzed Sultai Delirium apparently.
Oh, yeah. You know how many of their lands either enter the battlefield tapped or you have to take 2 damage?
Must be quite a few.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I was watching Danny Jessup. A lot of watery graves. A lot of overgrown tombs.
All right. That result is confirmed. So, Harvey, Scherer, they're going to be underway here in just a moment. Keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier in the round, we come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. East Coast time here from Philadelphia. Nick Miller's going to have a metagame breakdown for you fans of all the data. Take that for data.
Mm-hmm.
We'll, of course, cut to a top 4, no longer a top 8 here in our Team Constructed Opens. And then we're going to crown ourselves a champion. The team's walking out of here with $7,500, a bunch of SCG points, a qualification to the Players' Tour event in Charlotte later this year, and a whole bunch more. So a lot on the line for these players. Over 700 players here in Philadelphia joining us, and big shout out to all of you joining us at home. As Harvey will take a look at his opening hand, Caleb will do the same. And we'll be jumping to that standard match just as soon as we can. But for now, these players will be given the green light, and the magic will be underway in just a moment. And Dom's going to start things off with a fetch. Maybe a shock. And then it's Inquisition of Kozak, Pyretic Ritual, Serum Visions, Aria of Flame, 4 lands in Steam Vents, 2 Breeding Pools, and a Scalding Tarn. There goes the Aria of Flame.
Yeah, pretty threatening sideboard card there on Scheerer's side. Harvey does not remove it from the battlefield very easily, and a lot of his measures are kind of, they're good at stopping one big push. They are not that good at stopping a steady stream of cards from Scherer, and so the Aria is a card you have to deal with before it enters the battlefield.
So that is taken away. This is a Serum Visions. Draw a couple cards. Actually, scry 2. Split the difference on the scry. Just draw a single card. We head back over to Dominic Harvey, who will play an island. There's an Arkham's Astrolabe. Draw a card. And now here's a Thoughtseize. So, Pyretic Ritual bites the dust, and it's a hand full of lands here for Caleb.
So first draw step plus draw a Serum Vision. 2 lands. Not good for Scherer.
I would say not good at all there, partner. Some work to be done, for sure. Oh, it's an opt into a Serum Visions. Desperate Ritual to draw. Now scry 2. Sleight of hand on top, mountain on the bottom. We're heading back over to Dominic Harvey. This game he's got a 3rd land. It's Mystic Sanctuary that enters the battlefield tapped, but it's a 3rd land all the same. Now it's a sleight of hand. Couple of cards. Caleb finds one, pardon me, that he likes. Remember, his hand was just full of lands 2 turns ago. Now he's starting to find some spells with all the cantripping that he's doing. Here's the Thoughtseize. Harvey wants to check it out. Veil Summer says no.
Just swat that into the 3rd row.
Yep. Looks like Harvey might be fighting over this, though, with a copy of Ether Gust.
Yeah, I like a fight here.
Yeah, I do, too. So he will attempt to gust the Veil to resolve the Thoughtseize.
This is an interesting call here for Scherer because the Veil is a valuable card to have, but if he's going down to just nothing but lands in hand, I think you want an opportunity to draw either Gifts Ungiven or Fact or Fiction this turn. I think it's a really, it might be your last time, your last opportunity to do so. Drawing a Veil is a dead end.
And he drew a copy of Opt. And I think that would be better than drawing a copy of Veil. So Scherer is going to sacrifice Scalding Tarn, and we may just see this Opt here in just a moment.
So I don't know. I suppose Aria of Flame is the hit here, but I was thinking, do you want to opt now because your key cards are all 4 cost, and if Harvey hits you in the Thoughtseize next turn, your gifts or your Fact or Fiction is stranded. But I think the upside here for Scherer of finding an Aria of Flame is high enough that it's worth the risk of a follow-up discard taking one of your 4 should you happen to draw it.
It's an Opt. Pass the turn back. Harvey will draw. He'll just pass the turn back. No 4th land, but does have Archmage's Charm at the ready. This is a Manamorphose. And now it's a Fact or Fiction. I don't think that's resolving.
Been a while since I've seen some piles.
Yep. You're not going to see him right now, partner.
I think that I would have preferred Scherer there to play the Breeding Pool untapped.
Yeah? Bluff something?
Yeah.
I mean, life total doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
Yep. There's Mystic Sanctuary. It'll be a good time for Urza now.
Because there's no guarantee that Harvey would fight over Fact or Fiction if he thought you could do something back at him. Because you could imagine Dominic looking at an Archmage's Charm and there's a mana up from Scheer's side, and he's played a land untapped, and saying, I can use my counterspell some other time. It's not like it's now or never, and you might be able to actually get it to resolve.
Scalding Tarn will be sacrificed here by Caleb.
It's not like a Factor Fiction is lethal. It's just,
it's just good.
It's just good, right? So maybe he'll just let it go.
Well, Pyretic Ritual. I think it might be time for Pass and Flames. And now it makes you wonder if Harvey does have a copy of Aether Gust.
Well, we'll see it.
That he could play off of the Construct and the Astrolabe, but I don't think he does.
Yeah, he has effective 2 blue up, but, I think you'd want to fight over this.
Great analysis, partner. Here's a Serum Vision.
I think that you would want us to fight over this extremely lethal Past in Flames.
Remand and Manamorphose here. That's a Pyretic Ritual. Caleb able to win this game. It's going to tie up the match, and we'll have to turn our attention towards Standard. Manamorphose here. Going to change that quadruple red into 2 blue and 2 red. Draw a card. Dom's saying, let me take a look at your graveyard. Is this deterministic or not? There's the Serum Visions. Spell 7. Draw a card, scry 2. I mean, it's not impossible for Caleb to dead end here. It's not like he has a ton of mana.
Yeah.
A cost reducer makes it easy. But I'm not even sure if he has the opportunity to get a cost reducer on the battlefield.
If he's contemplating taking a Dismember here, that means that he thinks he might have to play on.
All right, both are going to the bottom. There's Baral. Red floats. Ritual, up to 3 red. Oh, he's moving now? Fatal Push on Baral.
Yep.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's a really creative way to do it, too. Do it through the Astrolabe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not...
Wow.
I mean, it's technically on the table, but it is kind of concealed.
Pretty concealed, yeah. So now here's Manamorphose. Picking up Desperate Ritual. I think he's dead-ended. I really do. I mean, no one would know better than Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, if you're taking 2 blue in the pool, I think that's a suggestion here that he might just have to kind of cantrip a little bit here.
Here's a Sleight of Hand. Factor Fiction or Sleight of Hand are the options.
Well, this is the fork in the road, right? Are you trying to win this turn, or are you just assuming you're playing on? If you take Factor Fiction, you're playing at least one more turn.
Yep, well, he took Factor Fiction, so I think we continue to play on. And playing on is going to be really hard from this spot. We're going to see some more cantrips, obviously, but playing on is hard because you know your opponent's drawing Archmage's Charm.
Yeah.
And has access to an active Urza, which means mana will not be a problem. So this game just got hard.
Now, the interesting thing here, if Harvey doesn't have mana, do you leave everything back so you have the ability to Archmage's Charm and then play it again through Remand? Or do you tap down to 5 mana and risk Scherer being able to do everything with without a need for a second piece of interaction?
It's a great question.
And it looks like Harvey's just going to hold back the construct here.
Okay. So he's going to play Urza, make another construct, and then have Archmage's Charm at the ready. And this also provides a nice clock for the future turns.
Right. This is splitting the difference. This is, I can't play through Remand, but you've got to beat 1 counter spell, and I'm positioning myself for lethal next turn.
Mm-hmm. So Serum Vision's to start here for Caleb. Gifts ungiven among those cards. Doesn't look like he's in love with what he's seeing with the Scry.
Also looking at Empty the Warrens, which is maybe hard to set up as a kill in this spot, but is at least something where you can generate a lot of storm, never present any piece that causes you to dead end, and then empty for a bunch. But that's not going to beat Urza and some constructs unless you do it for a ton, and then you need another wave of stuff after that. So that might not be too appealing of a route.
Spirewolf Canal passed that turn back. So now I am curious what Harvey wants to do with this Archmage's Charm. Yeah, because he's going to retap his lands. I think he may just want to draw 2 with Archmage's Charm. I don't think one counter spell is going to do it here.
Well, what are you hoping? I mean, you're hoping your draw step plus your Archmage's Charm hits 2 cards?
Well, so if you draw, so Archmage's Charm, he could draw 2 cards.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
For the turn.
Right, so you have 3 looks, and you need 3 looks to be better than a counter spell.
Yes, which I think is possible.
I mean, it's certainly possible. The question to me is necessary. That's the line of, like, do I think that Archmage's Charm is just not going to be good enough here?
Like, what are the chances that your draw steps are discard spell plus counter spell?
Not that high, but that might be necessary to be able to win the game.
Yeah.
That's the decision.
Well, Factor Fiction's going to resolve. Gifts, Grape Shot, Aria Flame, Pyretic Ritual, Veil of Summer is a problem.
Yeah. So, splitting this one is pretty tricky because Caleb gets to do everything through Past and Flames anyway. So I think you do not want to pair Veil of Summer and Gifts Ungiven together. That seems like those need to be separated. And is there any way to really make a meaningful difference here? I guess I like pairing Veil of Summer with Aria Flame abstractly. They don't really... That's a little apples and oranges.
Okay.
And I like putting the mana with the Veil because that also doesn't necessarily get Scherer anywhere.
Okay.
So I guess the split that I like is Veil. I think I would put Veil, Ritual, Aria against Gifts and Empty the Warrens. I think that's the best way to sort of mismatch the pieces that Scherer has available. And you do actually kind of want him... I think you do actually want to give him an incentive to Gifts with the purpose of casting Empty the Warrens, because that's your best route to spike him with some sweeper or something. Like, he might not want to take that road, because it's risky just to make a bunch of goblins in this spot.
Okay. So there's Veil, Aria of Flame, Grape Shot, Pyretic Ritual, and Gifts Ungiven.
Oh, it's a Grape Shot. I still think... Yeah, I think I would put the Pyretic Ritual into the other pile.
Okay.
I like Aria and Veil in one pile. But I think that's just too much meat to get Scherer to work with along with the Grape Shot. I think the Ritual needs to go in the other stack.
Well, we're going to start off with Baral, which is the kind of card you want to counter.
I mean, Harvey's hands face up here, so... I mean, this speaks to your point from last turn of just Archmage's Charm is just not going to be enough to stop all this.
Yep, I just never thought that it would be. I think it's too big of an ask. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this game probably ends now.
I think so. I mean, Scherer's got a million cards. He's still got a Pass and Flames in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Harvey's empty-handed. Can't even spike an Urza activation.
Pyretic Ritual here. That's a desperate ritual.
How do you not get the Invasion Factor Fictions?
I like the new one. I like the new art better. So
It's a classic track, though.
I get it. I like the new art much better. And the new flavor text, which the Factor Fiction normally didn't have it, I think. Caleb Scherer going to win this game and match over Dominic Harvey 2-0. We're all tied up. Again, these players are playing for day number 2 of competition. So we turn our attention to our standard match. Dylan Han, Daniel Tomato. Take it away, gentlemen, in a teamer reclamation mirror that Dylan Han is ahead in. Breeding pool there for Tomato. Dylan Han with a Temple of Epiphany. It's our last match of the day here from Philadelphia. Steam Vents untapped. We head back over to Hand. Hand coming off of a top 4 last week and alongside Dominic Harvey. There's a growth spiral.
People just got to start. You got to start main phasing your growth spirals. If you're watching this at home, start main phasing your growth spirals. Look at this. Look what happened.
It got expansioned, and then it got counted.
Dylan just cranking back on you.
There's a Steam Vents.
Play it on your own turn.
Yeah.
What were you hoping for? Yeah. What you were gonna bluff and negate and take him off his turn? Is that the thing?
There's a Robber of the Rich. That's gonna get gusted. You've had enough. That's fair.
Play your dual lands untapped.
There's way too little of that going on.
Play your Red Mega Duels untapped no matter what.
Yep.
Play Growth Spiral on your own turn no matter what. That heuristic is better than what you're doing out there in the real world. I've seen enough.
Harvey and Lancaster trying to figure out where this card should go. It's a good question.
Well, it's tough because it's ostensibly powerful, but it also sucks. So
it's a great way to break it down.
Right.
That's really good. It's really
it's like supposed to be good here, but it's not.
Yep.
So what do you do?
Yep. Back to you, Pat.
Yep. Try again next turn.
Yep.
I mean, I suppose he's got Ithacus or Mystical Dispute in hand. Like, this is the setup you're trying to go for. Get a threat underneath, start drawing some cards, blah, blah, blah.
There's a stomping ground.
I like that play. Untapped.
And pass. A big fan.
Love it.
Big fan. It's worth noting, as here is Robber of the Rich again, that Dylan Han is missing green mana for as good as his start may be. Green mana is eluding him.
I think that's what made the Robber decision complicated last turn. Are you just on the hunt for green mana? But it looks like his hand is just... I guess he's got Wilderness Reclamation, but, he's got a counter spell and an Expansion Expulsion. He can play back.
This is a Brazen Borrower. All right. Brazen Borrower's on an adventure. Fabled Passage means green mana is finally here. Basic Forest. Which means we could see Wilderness Reclamation here in just a moment, perhaps?
Well, I think Hand's got a pretty good setup here of, so the first Robber, that got a counterspell. The second one got a Petty Theft. It suggests that D'Amato is concerned about this card and is not flush with answers. I want to just keep playing this get underneath him game.
I'm for that.
And just what... I mean, it was really good last turn. Why not run it right back,
Sure. Robber of the Rich. And now Growth Spiral. And Handle pass the turn back to Daniel D'Amato, who has a okay, that's gonna get gusted.
Yep, keep playing underneath.
Yep. Now Nightpack Ambusher, where are you gonna go? All right, Ambusher's going to join the battlefield. But what you can see here is that hand is ahead on mana. And it might be ahead on things to do as well.
Like that play. Untapped.
Here's 6 mana. Maybe not. Looks like he may attack here.
Yeah, I think this is a post-combat explosion.
Okay.
Is the hope here. So you're absolutely, positively, without question, dead if he has Mystical Dispute.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
But that is probably the case anyway because his hand doesn't allow for a lot of recourse. And in fact, he has his own Mystical Dispute backup. So he can do it for 2 and leave up 1 if he's really worried about it.
Got it. Are you sure that card's yeah, it's Mystical Dispute and Expansion.
Yeah, so we can set it up if there's a block.
Sure.
Not blocking this thing, it sucks. And Dylan's hand's faced up. Yeah, that's right. No blocks. I'll take 2. That going to trade with a wolf next turn if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Ow! Ambusher coming in, giving some beatdowns. I don't think Daniel wants to do anything. Well, here comes Expansion Explosion for 2. You said that's fine. It's most likely fine. Yep. 2 cards coming. Nightpack Ambusher going to make a wolf. With the shields up, as it were. All right. We're going to go back over to Dylan Hand now. I believe we have a wolf token on the way here for Daniel D'Amato. There it is. He didn't play a spell after all, so that's a 3/3 wolf. Temple, top card becomes the bottom. Mystical Dispute looking to take care of the Brazen Borrower.
Yep. I think that even if D'Amato has a resource to play back, it's just not worth it. Who cares? Hand is going to get buried by the wolves, so no reason to put a premium on your battlefield presence.
There's an attack for 7. Yeah, no need to play any spells in his own main phase. Just generate another wolf token. Nightpack Ambusher is very, very powerful, especially if you were not prepared for it. And it doesn't look like Hand is this game. Looks like a Castle Vantress activation. Wilderness Reclamation among the cards. I think these might both have to go on the bottom. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Hand needs something really good that plays to the board.
Doesn't have anything. So game number 3 about to be underway here between these two players. Again, playing for day number 2. See if Hand wants to go back to the drawing board as far as configuration is concerned, excuse me. But Daniel D'Amato tied it all up.
Game for the Ambusher. Was really good there.
Ambusher's great.
It was really good.
Yeah. It's an incredibly, incredibly powerful card if people are not prepared. And sometimes it's still good if people are prepared.
Yeah, I mean, Hand drew an Aether Gust that game. And still eventually, you know.
It's good stuff. Well, we're going to see game number 3 here in just a moment between Hand and Daniel D'Amato. I think we might be taking a moment to learn more about Daniel D'Amato here in just a moment. Good friend of Caleb Scherer, plays Storm just like Caleb does, but this time he's playing Team of Reclamation, which for my money is the best deck in Standard right now. And I'm a pretty big fan of that Azorius Control deck, too.
I am, too, but I agree on both counts. I think the Azorius Control deck is quite good, but I like Wilderness Reclamation quite a bit. Would be my standard deck of choice were I not poisoned by bias.
Poisoned is so strong.
It's true.
Fair. We've seen Wilderness Reclamation a lot. I think a lot of people were scared when that card got printed of it being way too good and out of bounds. I do think it is still a very good card, but
It's on my list.
history has shown that it's not over the top.
Well, for better or worse, it got paired in the standard format with Teferi Time Rattler, which has a lot of ways of closing off the deck's kind of most powerful stuff at an opportunity cost low enough that it got played a bunch.
Yeah.
I think in the average standard format, you might not be so lucky. But Wilderness Reclamation has, for a while now, just been kind of a fringe glass cannon strategy. It's showed up here or there. But recently in standard, it has very much taken off.
All right, these players are going to keep. So steam vents to start things off. Temple of Epiphany here for Daniel D'Amato. Top card becomes the bottom one. Let's head back over to Dylan Hand. Castle Vantress, the draw there for Dylan. His second land is looking to be Breeding Pool. And a Battlefield tap, pass it back. There's a forest, pass the turn back. Let's go back over to Dylan Hand for his third turn of this deciding game for the match and for day number 2.
Yep.
Castle Vantress.
These right here are the best sweats.
Mm-hmm. Here's an Omen of the Sea. That's going to resolve.
2 matches already concluded, someone getting dunked on each team, and then game 3 in a tight one. Perhaps my favorite moment in team tournaments is this right here.
Split the difference on the Scry draw card. And then, of course, Daniel will draw a card for his turn. Steam Vents untapped. D'Amato will fall down to 18. We'll head back over to Hand. He'll play an island. Of course, one of the fun things about the Wilderness Reclamation Mirror is when are you supposed to make your move and trying to resolve the powerful enchantment or anything else for that matter.
Well, another interesting thing here is if D'Amato has Brazen Borrow, would you just run it out?
Here's Growth Spiral. Looks like that's going to resolve.
Yeah. Hand has a bunch of counter spells, but this is just too innocuous of a fight, and it's on his own end step, so Hand wants to keep as many options and mana available to him as possible on D'Amato's turn.
Growth Spiral's done resolving. We're heading back over to Daniel now. Temple of Epiphany. Excuse me, Temple of Mystery. I apologize. Top card becomes the bottom after the Scry with the Simic Temple. Now here's Thassa's Intervention. This one might be good enough to fight over.
Keep in mind here that Hand is in a position where he doesn't have to worry about an ambusher because D'Amato is without double green.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure he would be so willing to tap out, even on D'Amato's own end step here, but with D'Amato having only a single green mana, there's a cap on what he can do.
This will be, look at the top X cards of your library where X equals 2. Put up to 2 of them into your hand, the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So there you go. Here's Brazen Borrower. Mystical Dispute's going to try to take care of that.
I like Hand picking a small fight here. First of all, he's got a lot of counters in his hand. He got to cast them on something. 2, I think, it's easy to say, well, the game's not really about that sort of thing. But we saw in game number 2, Hand just kind of get run down on the battlefield. I think you want to be mindful of not allowing D'Amato to kind of seize the tempo of the game and force you to play into his counter spells, even if you're at 18 and you're a long ways away from getting killed from a Brazen Borrower.
Euro, Titan Nature's Wrath, that comes down. Draw its card, gain some life. All that jazz. Here's a Growth Spiral. And now another growth spiral. There's Temple off the growth spiral. Top card.
Magic players at the end of time in round
Stays
9.
on top with the scry.
Player finisher
I think it was a land there. It's a stomping ground. There's the battlefield untapped very quickly.
Once again, that is the end of round 9.
And hand will pass the turn back. Omen the Sea.
If you have an next
The sacrifice. It'll be scry 2. Mystical Dispute and growth spiral.
If you need any assistance, please do not hesitate to call for a judge.
I think growth spiral is almost certainly going to the bottom. And the question now is Mystical Dispute, what to do with that. Could be wrong, though.
I mean, hand is reaching a point here where Mystical Dispute is not going to be able to play back at anything meaningful. So
It's getting worse and worse as the game goes. And this game is going. That's for sure.
And with hand having Castle Vantress against no Castle Vantress on D'Amato's side, there's not a whole lot of burden on hand to act. You know what I mean? He can just sort of wait. And if he's going to wait, that's naturally going to degrade the value of your Mystical Dispute over time. So I like putting it on the bottom.
Looks like D'Amato's wondering how much time is left in this game. The answer for that is a little over 12 minutes. We'll call it 12 and a half as of right now. So there's time to work with. As we slog along here. Hand thinking long and hard on this scry before splitting the difference. Aha. D'Amato saying, maybe I want to make an action, but no. There's Castle Vantress, number 2. Sounds like it'd be a legendary land, but it's not. And looks like D'Amato has something to do on the end of hand's turn. It'll be a growth spiral. 3 mana this time. He's going to go to Brazen Borrower again.
It's interesting because this is a spot. He's giving hand a good spot to resolve a Mystical Dispute in a game that's shaping up to be invalidated. I think this signals that D'Amato's got a lot of weight in his hand. He's got to be having something meaningful he's trying to push through. If he's putting a premium on a Mystical Dispute. Whoa.
Okay. I mean, he's really forcing the
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in hand spot, I'm going to take a minute and pause because this is a lot of premium cards used in a not premium position. And it kind of the way to justify it is if D'Amato has some haymaker he can throw at you if you just tap out.
The explosion half of Expansion Explosion resolved to take care of that Brazen Borrower, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised here. I seriously would not be surprised by like 2 copies of Wilderness Reclamation and Expansion Explosion right now. The way that D'Amato played that sequence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking at least Reclamation.
Yeah, he's got to have a banger coming. Yeah, I was suspicious at the Brazen Borrower, and the negate is just. I mean, that's got to be sirens going off. I think if you're in hands position.
Okay, well, it's just Uro to start, which is underselling how powerful the 6/6 is. Now, it would be a great time to play Wilderness Reclamation and then have all 8 mana up. Wow.
Surprising there.
A little surprised, yeah.
All of D'Amato's plays there signaled someone who was just saying, just tap out. I'm going to give you a spot for you to land a really good punch there with the Expansion Explosion. But, I mean, D'Amato's turn was not bad. That was just
fine.
I was expecting a lot more.
Yeah, you and me both. Thought the hammer was going to get dropped that turn. Not quite. Fabled Passage is going to allow hand to search up a basic forest. Now hand's going to go towards Wilderness Reclamation. Just trying to figure out how he wants to tap for it. 8.5 minutes left in this one. Ether Gust is going to target the very powerful enchantment as a temporary solution. Gust will resolve, Reclamation back on top. Well, Diamato was trying to get Brazen Borrowers, plural, onto the battlefield in order to start to get to work on hand's life total. Uro wants to do that, but I don't think it's going to get the opportunity just yet, as Ether Gust is going to target that. Thassa's Intervention. Pay 4. Aggressive use of the counterspell. Okay. I'm going to try again. Brazen Borrower.
Good spot for Mystical Dispute.
Yeah, it's a great spot for it. There it is. Okay, so Uro will stay on the battlefield. Attack for 6. Draw Diamato a card. Gain him a little life, of course, and he will simply pass the turn back. So hand's going to draw a copy of Wilderness Reclamation now.
And he's just back on air here.
Yeah, his hand's pretty weak. No pun intended.
I think D'Amato has done a really nice job navigating this game.
Mm-hmm. Fabled Passage will be sacrificed here by hand. Basic Island. There's Wilderness Reclamation.
But hands left over is just a counterspell and a land.
Going to float all that mana. Looks like for a Castle Vantress activation. Okay. And it looks like for maybe another Castle Vantress activation. Okay, so he is really needing some help. And those are both going to the bottom, too. Dylan's just got a land. And I believe a copy of Ether Gust in hand. Some sort of reactive permission. We're going back over to Daniel now. This is after he draws, looking to play Ether Gust. I think this might be Thassa's Intervention.
Yep. I mean, D'Amato fought over it last time. Makes sense to do it again.
Yeah, I think he's sensing just a lot of weakness, which also makes sense because hand only has one left over there.
If it was good, you would have seen it by now.
Yep. 6 more. Draw. Fabled Passage is the land. That will enter the battlefield because of the Uro. And now Fabled Passage will be sacrificed. Advantage team on the right now, folks.
In a game that was not looking that good for D'Amato at a bunch of spots.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Did not look good a lot of the time, but he has battled back. And though hand is the one that has the Wilderness Reclamation, namesake card of the deck, the advantage is not his right now. 28-4 are the life totals. There's Ether Gust. What do you want to do with that? I think it's got to go down, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a dead end if you draw it, so.
Mm-hmm. Pass that turn back. Hannah's got to draw a real doozy. He's got a lot of bad draws right now. He's got a couple good ones, too.
I mean, what are you even? Doesn't it just have to be expansion?
My thought is explosion right now, right?
Well, even that's. I mean, you can't kill a 6/6 with it, right?
1, 2, 3. No, he's got enough to do it. He's got 10 mana on the battlefield, and he has a land in hand too.
Then yeah, I guess if that's still a draw, I would try to take it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're activating Castle of Vantress, you can't draw that, and you're dead.
You get a better. Well, you get a better look at like Brazen Borrower or something.
Other nonsense.
Right, cards that are not good enough, most likely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thassa's Intervention. That's a redraw. Now, how much do you tap for this? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, what are your looks even? If you go down to 5, I guess 5 mana puts you in a spot where you can Petty Theft and pay for Mystical Dispute, and past that, the selection's kind of like ambiguous and granular. Who really cares?
Mm-hmm.
So this looks about right.
Well, Robber of the Rich can block, so there's that.
Sick.
Yeah. If we're looking for positives, we found one.
Oh,
bang.
Bang.
Or it can attack. Well, maybe not. All right. Back to Daniel. He's on tap all those lands. Can he cross the finish line is the question. He'd love to get it over with right now. And he's talking to Caleb, so he may have drawn something that matters. Attack step. Let's trigger the E-Row. Thassa's Intervention, the draw. Do we try to explosion this before blocks? It looks like the answer is yes.
Can pay for a Mystical Dispute.
That's going to do it. Caleb Scherer, Chad Harney, and Daniel D'Amato are going to win this match over Dominic Harvey, Casey Lancaster, and Dylan Hand.